dissolution of the House of Representatives, the national politics has taken an eventful turn. Criticisms and questions raised against the government and the Premier's modus operandi have escalated in recent time, while the Constitutional Bench at the Supreme Court has been hearing writs filed against the government move. At this juncture, the silence exhibited by key leaders such as former Speaker Subhas Nemwang has drawn attention among the political tier of the country. Good morning, I'm Sarah Sapsanama and these are the headlines of the hour. Justice Hari Krishna Karki recuses from the Constitutional Bench at the Supreme Court following questions from law practitioners. A new bench to hear the writ on Wednesday. A government investigation shows 180 firms involved in revenue fraud by making counterfeit bills, files cases against 415 individuals in the last 3 years. Supporters of US President Donald Trump resort to vandalism at US Congress. A female protester dies after scuffle with the police. Curfew imposed in Washington, D.C. And Manchester City advanced to the finals of League Cup, blanking Manchester United 2-0 to clash against Tottenham Hotspur in the title decider. A justice at the Constitutional Bench of the Supreme Court has decided to recuse from the Constitutional Bench that is hearing more than a dozen writs filed against the government decision to dissolve the House of Representatives. Justice Hari Krishna Karki decided to recuse following questions on his presence that law practitioners say could influence the bench decision. Legal experts argued that Justice Karki should not attend the bench hearing considering his close ties with the Prime Minister. Karki was appointed Attorney General under the first tenure of Prime Minister KP Sharma Oli. The bench saw a heated debate between lawyers and justices as Chief Justice Cholendra Samsher Rana defended Justice Karki, saying that he too was recommended for the post during the tenure of Premier Oli. Justice Karki argued that dissolving the lower house was impersonal for the Prime Minister before announcing to recuse from the bench. Senior advocates Sambhu Thapa and Dinesh Tripathi were among those who raised questions on Karki's presence. Law practitioners had demanded for a full bench of more than 11 justices, saying that 5 justices were not adequate to hear the case. The demand will also be considered by the Constitutional Bench next week. 12 writ petitioners had filed another petition yesterday demanding for a full session of the bench. 13 petitions were registered at the Apex Court against the dissolution of the House of Representatives. Now, the government has met with serious criticism from all quarters since the dissolution of the lower house. Top brass leaders of the ruling and opposition parties and political analysts have all termed the Prime Minister's decision as unconstitutional. The hearing of the writs filed against the move is still underway at the Constitutional Bench of the Supreme Court. Meanwhile, Nepal Communist Party leader Subhas Nemwang, who held the post of the chairman for both the Constituent Assembly, has remained mum regarding the issue, raising questions among many.
On 20th of December last year, Prime Minister KP Sharma Oli dissolved the House of Representatives. Over a dozen writs were filed at the Supreme Court against the decision, the hearing of which has yet to conclude. Meanwhile, Nepali Congress leader Gagan Thapa has drawn the attention of former Speaker Subhas Nemwang, who had closely studied the Constitution of Nepal during its endorsement. Nemwang has, however, opted to remain silent despite escalating crisis brought by the dissolution of the lower house. Leader Thapa posted a series of tweets saying Leader Nemwang should have voiced against the Prime Minister's decision. Leader Thapa also expressed regrets that the former speaker had completely avoided discussing on the situation. It may be recalled that, on one occasion, Nemwang had said the House of Representatives could not be dissolved in the current situation.
विघटन गर्न सक्दैन संविधानमा हामीले त्यो व्यवस्थै राखेका छौं अनि हामीले संविधानमा त अलिकति अगाडि भएमा बाहेक संविधानमा त हामीले बजेट जस्तै यो दिनमा निर्वाचन गर्ने भनेर राख्नु खोजेका थियौं तर त्यही दिन भनेर राख्दा एक दिन पनि तलमाथि पर्यो भने संवैधानिक अप्ठ्यारो आउँछ भनेर हामीले त्यो गरेनौं.
Gagan Thapa is not the only leader raising question on the former speaker's stand. Former Prime Minister Baburam Bhattarai has also opined that Leader Nemwang is well aware of the constitutional limitations. Given the knowledge that the former speaker has on the Constitution of Nepal, leaders and analysts have all opined that he cannot remain silent on a decision that has allegedly breached the state's constitutional norms.
A government investigation has shown that 180 firms have been involved in revenue fraud by forging counterfeit bills. The Revenue Investigation Department has filed a case against 415 individuals at Department High Court, alleging them of revenue fraud of 31.29 billion rupees in the last 3 years. The government shifted the Revenue Investigation Department from the jurisdiction of the Ministry of Finance to the Prime Minister's office in March 2018, saying that it would not be appropriate for a single department to conduct tax assessment and investigation. The department since then has started investigation against businesses issuing fake VAT bills. The investigation has shown that the VAT bills have been issued by registering companies in the name of common people of villages and then selling them back with commission. The department, through its investigation, has confirmed the involvement of 425 individuals swindling 31.29 billion rupees by forging fake VAT bills. According to the department, such scams have increased since the fiscal year 2014-15 and expanded in the fiscal year 2018-19. The study shows that an additional 20 firms are under investigation, while more than 1,200 individuals have used such bills. Based on the scams that have been revealed so far, the process of evading both VAT and income tax by making fake bills in the name of innocent villagers has flourished. However, the alleged individuals have been operating bank accounts on their own. There are almost 20 individuals who are directly involved in this scandal. Experts have opined that the general public themselves should be aware of such groups that could misuse their documents for illegal activities and put them at risk. Now, over 24 nations around the world have begun using COVID-19 vaccines on their citizens. However, it is yet uncertain when the government of Nepal will have its hands on the life-saving drug. The COVID-19 test fees have not been revised either, despite government directive. Meanwhile, the Health Ministry has been dodging both the issues of vaccine and the high test fees in the country, saying that relevant studies are underway.
Around 4,550 individuals took up the COVID-19 tests on Tuesday, 2,500 of whom sought private laboratories for tests through the PCR method. These laboratories earned over 50 million rupees for the tests, which they say are in accordance to the rates determined by the government. Even government hospitals have been charging 2,000 rupees per asymptomatic individual who want to get tested for COVID-19. Both government and private laboratories should have reduced their test fees to less than 1,000 rupees, given the easy availability of medical equipment these days. However, the government has failed to take actions against the faulty laboratories that have ignored even the Supreme Court's order. As a result, many asymptomatic individuals are avoiding hospitals and tests to avoid paying exorbitant fees. Based on government data, around 589,000 tests through the PCR method have been carried out in private laboratories. It may be recalled that the initial rates for the tests determined by the government was 5,500 rupees. It was later reduced to 4,400 rupees, followed by another revision to bring it down to 2,000 rupees. Rough estimates suggest private laboratories have so far made more than 2 billion rupees from the tests alone. While neighboring nation India has been conducting tests for a maximum of 800 rupees, back home, the government has been indifferent towards the exorbitant fees. As various vaccines have been proved useful against COVID-19 and have come to use across the world, the rates for equipment to test for the virus has gone down as well. However, the ongoing exorbitant rates for the tests through the PCR method in the country have raised serious questions on the intentions of the government and private laboratories.
In our Public Voice segment, we have asked locals of Palpa district why have the public taken to the streets to participate in the agitation of political leaders who are vying for positions. Let's take a look at what they had to say.
हामी सबै जनताहरुको हित अधिकारको लागि चाहिँ सबै अगाडि बढिरहेका आन्दोलन गरिरहेका छन् तर नेताहरु चाहिँ बस आफ्नो कुर्सीकोहरुको लागि मात्रै दौडिरहेका छन्
यस्ता नेताहरुलाई चाहिँ अब शासन गर्न पठाउने होइन है भनेर राम्रो मान्छे चाहिँ छान्ने बेला अवस्था चाहिँ आएको जस्तो चाहिँ हामीलाई महसुस भएको छ
5 वर्षलाई जितेर गएको यो सरकार विघटन हुँदाखेरि जनताले धेरै अन्यलको सामना गर्नु परेको छ।
यो नहुन पर्ने हो वास्तवमा। यसले चाहिँ सर्वसाधारण विद्यार्थी हैन अरु जो कहिल्यै पनि यसले असर गरिरहेको हुन्छ।
उनीहरूले देशको बारेमा बढी सोच्नु भन्दा आफू कुन पार्टी अन्तर्गत छ र त्यो कुन पार्टीलाई सपोर्ट गर्नुपर्छ त्यो आधारमा चाहिँ मानिसहरू सडकमा उत्रेका छन्।
सरकार ल्याउनुको निम्ति सरकार बनाउनुको निम्ति संवैधानिक सरकार बनाउनुको निम्ति एउटा आन्दोलन त आवश्यक भयो।
Time now for our segment Public Pulse, where you text us with your opinion. The question is, what's your say on Nepal not even reducing fees for COVID-19 tests while other countries have already started providing vaccines? Your options are A, weak policy, B, commercial mentality, and C, heavy investment. The voting is on. Type NEWS, select your option A, B or C and send it to 34001 to share your opinion with us. That's all for the moment. Thank you for watching. Have a great day ahead.